Hey there everyone, this is P.Y. Lee. Today I want to talk a little bit about my memories and experiences going through the Navy Nuclear Power Program, or Nuke School. It's going to be pretty general. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what got me through the program many years ago. Okay, the first couple things that I learned in hindsight and thinking about it is it's not college. It has a definite command structure. It's a serious business because it is the military, and they're preparing you for the fleet. So you have to think of it like that. If you're thinking of it as some kind of college or some kind of school where you get to just learn things, it's not. They are preparing you to do a function when you get out into the fleet. It's going to be throughout the nuclear program, it's going to be a learning experience. You're going to keep constantly learning, you're going to keep constantly refreshing things, and that's going to start when you join Nuke School. Okay. Another thing is safety is a huge focus going through the nuclear program, and it's going to be time and time again, they're going to talk to you about it, and you can't blow it off because at school it may not be as important, but when you actually go out to the fleet, it's going to be very, very important. About the school itself, it's going to be very fast-paced. There's going to be a lot of subjects that you're going to go over, and you're not going to be going to school like in college. You can pick your classes, and some days you're going to have a lot of classes, some days you're not. That's not the case here. You're going to have a set schedule and set curriculum. You're going to be going through many classes a day, and it's going to be from like morning to afternoon. Even after all of that, depending on your performance, how you do in school, your performance, you're going to have study hours that you're going to have to put in throughout the week. So you're going to have like mandatory amount of time that you would have to study each night, and a certain amount of hours that you would have to complete during the week. So they want you to actually focus on your studies, and since it's so fast paced, they're giving you an opportunity to absorb the material and try to learn from it on a day-by-day basis. Don't expect multiple choice questions. It's going to be a lot of written exams, and later on it's going to be oral exams. You're going to have to actually talk about what it is that you learned and the concepts behind it, because the first 2/3 of it, a lot of it's going to be theory, a lot of it's going to be basic engineering skills that you would need to learn, like math and the sciences, and a lot of that can be accomplished by memorizing. But memorizing things is not really going to help you do what you need to do with the equipment and the things that you need to do as a watchstander later on. So there is actual hands-on applications, and these are the best way to test for that is actually oral tests. So you would have to stand in front of knowledgeable people and try to explain to them what something does, and that's much harder than it sounds like, because they're going to ask you questions too. It's not going to be like, oh, I can just spout out something. You're going to have to actually know the function of something and the way that something works. For myself, I had very, very little science background. I went to college for humanities. I was a history major and a business major. So the sciences definitely, and math was not something that I had studied in a while or ever really focused on. I did a lot more on English, history, political science, things like that. So when I went into the nuclear program, it was kind of a big shift in the way of thinking and also in studying, I should say. I have a hard time memorizing things, so right off the bat I was at a disadvantage, and I had to learn different skills and different ways for me to memorize all these different concepts, all these different formulas and equations, and they want you to remember specific theorems in a specific way, and you would have to memorize that. And for myself, when you're kind of more on the humanities, where you can explain things in a much more wordy way. It doesn't help. So I had to learn a lot of different techniques, and it took a while for me to adjust, but I stayed on top of my classes, and I was able to um, finish and go through the pipeline, go through the nuclear pipeline. Another thing that I remember is that when you first get there, it's very restrictive. You're going to have certain times you have to get up, there's going to be like musters and all these other things that are going to be very similar to boot camp. But as you spend more time there and they get to trust you and you perform, a lot of things are going to open up. You'll have more time. You're not going to be on as a tight schedule as you were, and they will trust you more. But again, this is the military, and you're going to have to be responsible for how you use that time. If you start to slack, or if you ignore the commands, then again, they're going to go right back on you, and you're going to be back in a more restrictive position. But as you gain more freedom, you should go out and check out the things around you. Like, you can go off base, you'll be able to see the major city around you and travel around and do a lot of things. And that's kind of important because there's going to be a lot of school, and you're pretty much going to be hammered, and every week's going to be something new or some test or something, and you need to have that free time, and it's good to get out there. And also it's good to make a lot of friends there. There's going to be a whole lot of people that probably have a lot of similar interests, are pretty intelligent, and it's going to be up to you to try to connect with them and make some friends. Because if you are too focused on school and don't make friends, and maybe you try to make yourself into a pariah or be an outlier, it's going to be hard. And all that stress is just going to be there, and you're just going to not have very many outlets. So making friends, checking things out, those are good things to do. But remember, it's still Nuke School, and your priority is still learning your stuff and maintaining a good grade point average and going through the program. Another thing that I remember is there is a lot of attrition. It's not necessarily people getting kicked out because they couldn't hack it. Well, a lot of times there's like clearances that you have to go through. Some people got picked up for officer programs or illnesses and things like that. Because it's so fast paced, if you get sick and you're out for a week, you can get rolled back and things of that nature. So I would say that when I went through the program, maybe like half the people didn't graduate with me because they had things come up. And it wasn't necessarily because they couldn't hack it through the program, it was just a lot of different things. So when you hear a high attrition, don't be afraid about that. It's something that happens, and that. But I'll tell you, it's a hard school. It takes a lot of discipline and mental focus, and all that is going to prepare you for the fleet, because once you get out there, you'll have a much better idea of what it takes to, what kind of focus and willpower that you're going to need to go through a lot of the things that happen in the fleet. I'll cover some of that in another video, but they pace it pretty well on the amount of stress that you get and the amount of discipline that you need and the willpower. And if you're going through the program in a good step and you're either excelling or doing well enough, you should do okay when you get out to the fleet. Another thing that I want to talk about is don't be cocky. No one likes being anyone that's cocky. There's going to be a lot of smart people there. You'll be amazed by how many smart people there are. There's a whole bunch of different types of intelligences out there. There's going to be people that can memorize things by just reading it once, and there's going to be people that can just break things apart but really suck at memorizing things. So a lot of the people that you're going to meet at Nuke School are going to be smart. They're going to have high ASVAB scores, if that means anything, and you got to take it as that. And if you're cocky or arrogant, it's going to get a lot of hate. And don't be lazy. That's kind of a bad trait that I saw. There was a lot of people that were very smart, but because they were smart, they knew how to get away with a lot of easier things and not working as hard. And that's not a good habit and trait to have, because when you actually do get out, especially if you go submariner, you're going to have a lot of responsibility on you, and you have to work as a team. And if you're the guy doing the least amount of work, it's just going to be painful, should I just say. So it's a good, try to learn good habits, try to change yourself. If some of those things are things that happen to you or you notice about yourself early on, that people can change. I think that Nuke School can definitely help you gain a lot of discipline and a lot of knowledge that will help you later on in the fleet and also outside of the military. Well, I hope you liked my little spiel on Nuke School. I know I didn't go over into like all these specifics or locations or anything like that, but again, it's kind of, I just wanted to give you an idea of what I learned and some things that, looking back on it, were important to think about. Thanks. Well, if you liked my video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to help me out, subscribe, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.